For my final project, I wanted to compare and contrast the cinematic World War Z with the original book World War Z, an oral history of the zombie war. To my disappointment, there was much less in common between the two. However, I did enjoy them both. To my dismay, the movie had little to no references to the book, which, when you consider the setting, the movie happens during the Great Panic, and it's about one of the characters' immediate responses to it, which covers why the famous Battle of Yonkers was not addressed. And then the book is 10 years after, with multiple characters' perspectives, and the power of hindsight. First, I will chronologically analyze the movie, then make comparisons to the book. Fair warning, there are spoilers. So, Brad Pitt plays a dad named Jerry Lane, but for the purposes of this discussion, we'll call him Brad, because he's Brad Pitt. Anyway, he's a dad who quit his military work as a United Nations investigator to become a house dad, and he loves making pancakes for his family. Suddenly, they're caught in traffic when the city is first overrun with zombies. They get super lucky and make it out alive, and then Brad gains contact with his black friend who works for the UN and needs his help. His black friend's name is Kiri. When Brad gets hit with the Wolverine origin plot, because the government takes what he loves and uses it to get him to do what they want. And if Brad refuses the mission, he and his family will be sent to a rather unfavorable campsite where they'll probably be overrun with zombies. So he travels all over the world, including Jerusalem, where they built a wall and they isolated themselves. There's one parallel to the book. Brad discovers things about the zombies, watches several good people die, and barely escapes with his life. Every time. Eventually, after surviving a zombie-induced plane crash, he makes it to a World Health Organization, acronym WHO, or WHO, which is a specialized agency of the United Nations that is concerned with the international public health, which is fitting. There, he meets the 2005 Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi, who is the 12th rendition of the Doctor. Brad finds out he can go back in time and stop the zombie apocalypse from happening. Just kidding. Doctor Who says that the humanity is better off this way and needs a reset anyway. And the movie ends there. Nah, I'm just kidding again. He just plays a WHO doctor there. Doctor Who isn't even the one in charge. But he does help Brad, along with the other surviving doctors, through an intense 20-25 minute scene where he must covertly walk through a building filled with 80 reanimated Doctor zombies, who will haunt my dreams, as you can see. And any noise he makes could mean his death. He does this to inject himself with a curable pathogen because he believes that the zombies virus only attack the healthy hosts, and if you're infected with some sort of disease pathogen, then they do not attack you, and you are in turn camouflaged. Then the usual happy family ending with some bad military tactics that are proved unsuccessful in the book, but look pretty cool as an ending scene. This, for one, makes no logical sense. You're shooting a flamethrower down the side of a building that you are on top of with no escape helicopter, and both hot air and fire rises. But like I said, cool ending scene. Analysis time. The first thing I noticed was the visuals used in the beginning of the movie. Predators were attacking their prey by the neck, and there were especially a visual scene about bees and ants that really set the mood for foreshadowing the swarming nature of the zombies. The way Tatsumi, the otaku from the oral history, if you would remember, he describes the zombies as siafu, which are African ants that swarm and overwhelm their enemies with their numbers. I believe the movie actually uses a clip of those exact breed of ants in the intro, but I'm not an ant expert. I just kind of compared the pictures from Google. The film is a serious narrative, though, with a straightforward plot with terrifyingly fast and aggressive zombies. In contrast, the book is a mixture of serious stories with some comic relief spread throughout. It produces the irony of our social and cultural ways and gives examples to the changes in attitudes and lifestyles that come after the supernatural war. The messages in the movie include the darker side of human nature, isolationism, communion, and corruption. But there is also a wise message in the middle about the 10th man. Jürgen Warmbrunn of Jerusalem gives an example of their policy. If 9 of us look at the same information and arrive at the same conclusion, it is the duty of the 10th man to disagree. No matter how improbable it may seem, the 10th man must start digging with the assumption that the other 9 are wrong. I thought that was very wise. I feel like this should be a new branch of the government. I thought it was very inspiring, like a fail-safe team. What would have happened if the Challenger mission, for example, would have had one of these fail-safe teams to check the failed gaskets that no one thought was a problem? Those gases might not have leaked and the fuel tank might not have exploded. The movie has much less layers than the book, mainly being isolationism and communion as the big ones. In the supermarket scene, there is a kid who looks like a drug addict, who practices communion by making sure no one abuses the pharmacy and only helping distribute medicine to those who actually need it, the way Brad needed to get his daughter asthma medicine. There's also a cop in that supermarket who, on the other hand, practices isolationism, where he ignores the murder Brad just did to save his wife and focuses on himself and getting food for his own wife and child. This officer is later seen as a zombie in a dark stairwell, little foreshadowing to how isolationism is a bad thing. During the reunion with his family and the cool but illogical ending scene, Brad tells us via voiceover that we've lost entire cities. We still don't know how it started. We brought ourselves some time. It's given us a chance. Others have found a way to fight back. If you can fight, then fight. Help each other. Be prepared for anything. Our war has only just begun. This message in the last statement is the message in this last statement is that the only way for humanity to survive is to join together, regardless of pre-existing differences, and help each other out. Communion, and also an opportunity for a sequel. Messages in the book, though, include, but are not limited to, hope, survival, loss, life lessons, humanity's sides of good and evil, an entire race going through change, and a different idea to ponder with each passing interview. Side effects of this reading include pondering the existence of the human race, considering the world actually being better off with a reduced population, and fantasizing about a movie or a series following the adventures of the Shaolin samurais Tamanaga and Tatsumi. Side effects of the movie include sweating, feeling of fatigue from people always running, the thrill of a good zombie chase, and wondering why they didn't make a World War Z movie about the origins of the army made by Tamanaga and Tatsumi. Like, seriously, I think I should produce this, I could make a ton of money, and please a ton of dedicated fans around the world. I'll remember you guys when I'm famous. In conclusion, Ground Zero in the book was China, and in the movie was North Korea. And it took me a while to find out why Hollywood wouldn't have the same starting ground. It's described so realistically and logically in the book, and the movie is like, yeah, we burned the first infected person we knew of, and all the documents. Whoops. Like, okay. But I found out that in the real world, China is the second biggest movie market or film industry. And so making them the source of the disease that ends most of humanity probably wouldn't sell too well. Go figures. Zombie action. It was equally entertaining on both sides. The speed of the movie zombies made them much more terrifying, but the book has the psychological intricacies which made it a whole different ballgame. Both are great, but they're hard to compare their performance objectively. The sci-fi themes that are presented, the book takes the gold with this one. Absolutely. It covers so many scientific ideas spanning from the sciences of psychology, physiology, to military tactics, like the list goes on and on. Whereas the movie mainly covers biological theory of the behavior of a certain virus, pathogens and such. And of course, Brad Pitt and those he watches die, people sacrificing themselves for the greater good. Those nice little things there. Other sci-fi parallels, I just had to mention that the book provokes thoughts in relating the ideas from other text themes we've studied, like, for example, Tatsumi's signing on as a digital escape is similar to Lisa's jacking in Winter Market. And then Tamanaga's parallel to The Country of the Blind, where it's a role reversal because he is the king of the zombies, as he makes them the strangers in a strange land. And don't forget to watch the YouTube link and the project submission about Tamanaga's Jedi battles with the zombies. I hope you enjoy that, because I really did. I also hope you enjoyed this final project, and that I stirred up some ideas and people going through change and all those juicy sci-fi themes. Thank you.